Okay, it's 4:05 p.m. I'll now call Finance and Responsible Governance Committee meeting to order. Welcome to the Finance and Responsible Governance Committee meeting. This meeting is being held in person and electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act. Today's meeting, there are two in-camera sessions on the matters on the agenda. We'll be discussing the open session matters first and then moving into closed session. Today, there's no public meetings, open delegations, or presentations. No standing items or committee updates. The first item, which will be discussed in closed session, is referred from the circulation list on May 31st, 2023, which is motion 23-G-130, confidential correspondence, potential land disposition matter, Dunlop Street area. There's no report of advisory committees. Then when it comes to reports of officers of the corporation, 7.1, the first matter, confidential solicitor client advice matter in regards to city projects. This matter will also be discussed in closed session. The next item is 7.2, council fundraising policy. That the proposed corporate policy regarding council fundraising is outlined in Appendix A to the report to the Finance and Responsible Governance Committee dated June the 6th, 2023, concerning the council fundraising policy to be approved. Can I have a member of the committee put the motion on the floor? Councillor Kungl.
I'll put the motion on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of committee? Mayor Nuttall.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the work on this. And, you know, I know this is obviously a subject that's being spoken about in a lot of corridors and a lot of newspapers and a lot of ink over the last couple of years. But I just want to make sure as we're moving forward that we are not only ensuring that in the future we don't have any potential perception of conflicts, but secondly, that we are moving forward in a way that still allows members of council to be involved in the community. So I just wanted to get that confirmation at the meeting today. And I'll give one for myself, for instance. So I do a lot of fundraising in PI education for backpacks for kids in government housing. I want to make sure that those activities aren't going to be inhibited through this policy. It's in fact related to city initiatives, not to initiatives in the community that any of us could be involved in, from Kiwanis to Rotary to anything else we're doing. So through yourself, Mr. Chair, to our public servants, we just get confirmation on that.
Through you,
Ms. Miller.
Chairman Harvey, to Mayor Nuttall. So the report does not, the policy does not prohibit you from doing those activities. I think it's a good balanced report. It's really ultimately making sure that any activities that go on in the future where there is direct fundraising, that the money does flow into the city's bank account. So I think that's really kind of the meat of what's in here. There is some guidelines around, we have a Lobbacy register that's coming online in January. So it's making sure we're still going to be compliant with that. But really the meat of all this report is that going forward, there's a reporting mechanism, and ultimately a bank account would be established with the city. So the money would flow directly into the city. So it doesn't prohibit other activities.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And just to confirm, that's with regards to city activities. You know, for instance, if Councillor Harris was getting involved with a Rotary item down on the waterfront in Ward 8, that's a Rotary item. It doesn't need to be then brought in-house to the city moving forward.
Sorry, that's correct. That's a Rotary item. That's a separate sort of avenue, I guess.
So I just wanted to confirm these items before maybe saying a little bit on the subject. I don't think that it is. I don't think that it represented responsible government when a member of council was essentially appointed at that point to go out and do fundraising, and it was kind of in-house and kind of not. I don't want to get into that individual and I don't want to get into the specifics, but I do believe that as a city, we need to make sure that we learn from our mistakes. And I believe the work that our public servants have done here not only reflects us learning as a council from our mistakes, and we're going to make some mistakes too over the 4 years. This isn't a judgment on anyone. But it's important we learn from those mistakes. And I think that it's also important to recognize it's probably if we, as a council in the last council, had slowed down and asked for their advice, they probably would have given us similar advice on this. And I say that as a reminder to all of us in our daily action as members of council going forward that we should probably make sure that we do that. And I think that this will be a good protection, not only for the city, not only for the taxpayers, but it's actually a really nice protection for each of us, right? Because we don't want to be in the position where people can say things and we're unable to clearly define what the outcomes are because there was blurred lines to begin with. So thank you to our team for your work, and thank you to obviously members of council, especially those who were here during the last term, for working through this and coming to the table with ideas as well. So that's it, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Any other members of committee with any comments? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Kunkel.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair Harvey. Only in that for those that may not have gone through this, I do like the alignment to our code of conduct and the role of the integrity commissioner. So I'll add compliments around just enforcing some of the work and attention to how we conduct ourselves, but also the extension of that and how we use our integrity commissioner to help us stay true to the intention of the way in which we are conducting the office.
Great, thank you. Any comments or questions from any non-members of committee? No? Okay, before I call the vote, I will say though, this is a very good report. It's quite in depth, and as Mayor Nuttall had said, we can learn from our mistakes. And I bet you if we could backtrack some of the decisions that we made last term, we'd probably vote differently on a couple of matters. But you got to learn from your mistakes and be able to fix those gaps. And I think staff have done a very good job at doing that, because at least this way, when there are future projects like this occurring, the city has control over the dollars in and the dollars out. So that way there won't be any blurred lines and potential clouds that may or may not exist in regards to things moving forward. And obviously it is good that it still won't affect all the other good community work that several members of council around this table do in their other side of their life outside of council. So in saying that, I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. The next item for discussion is, or actually number 8 is items for discussion. Oh, did I miss one? Oh, my apologies. There we go. 7.3 community projects fund and update to the council expense. 1, that the project submission and approval process outlined in the report to Finance and Responsible Governance Committee dated June the 6th, 2023, concerning the community project fund and update to council expense policy be approved. And 2, that the revised council expense policy attached as Appendix A to the report to Finance and Responsible Governance Committee dated June the 6th, 2023, concerning the community project fund and update to the council expense policy be approved. File C00. Can I have a member of committee put that motion on the floor?
I'll put it on the floor as presented.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kunkel. Is there any questions from any members of committee? No. Again, I will say, obviously, this is a much needed thing that it really aligns with everything that I think Mayor Nuttall ran on, and obviously why we've got a new name for this committee here too, as responsible governance. And I think that's what a lot of this is aligned with, is cleaning up some of those gaps and being very transparent and responsible to our taxpayers. So in saying that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Councillor Morales, go ahead. Sorry for that.
No worries. Thank you, Chair Harvey. Question for Mayor Nettle. I'm wondering if, and the reason I'm asking you just kind of to go off Chair Harvey's comments about you're kind of wanting some just clear checks and balances on everything. What about situations where boards share major common roads where projects that meet this criteria might go? And specifically the one I'm addressing, but it might happen throughout the city, is Big Bay Point. Is this La Painswick Triangle where the park is going, where maybe I come up with an idea along with Councillor Harris, maybe Councillor Hamilton. It's technically in Ward 9. Most of the people that probably use it, other than hardcore users, are in Ward 10, but it's also half a block away from Ward 8. So in a situation like that, if I interpret this to the letter of the law, Councillor Harris, Councillor Hamilton wouldn't be able to donate. And let's say Councillor Harris and I partner on speed reduction initiative on Big Bay Point. You know, when you come off the bridge, you got a lot of feedback there. Then Councillor Harris might be limited in what he can do on the south side and vice versa. So I'm wondering if how you interpret this document to see if there's any flexibility about maybe amending and saying at least the other side of the street.
Mayor Nettle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For me, I wasn't going to say anything, but now it's been brought up. Look, I think structurally, and I will answer your question. Structurally, I don't think that, Eric's here, so I'm going to pick on him. I don't think Eric and the mayor's office should be overseeing where members of council are spending money. I think that's ridiculous, quite frankly. And so I'm glad that it's been pulled out of that world, in the sense that it should be the same as every other program that would go through staff. The only difference here is that because members of council are also the overseers of staff, I think what we've seen in being recommended is that it come to the finance and responsible governance for all of the reporting purposes. And I would say that if there's a situation like you're talking about right now, Councilor Morales, where you and Jim want to work on something, and let's say it's the park, right? Because we just had a huge investment in that park at Painswick, etc. It's in Ward 9, I believe, but it's across the street from 10-8. Then, I don't think it takes a lot for folks to be able to come back to Finance Committee and say, notwithstanding X and Y, we would like to work together on this project and move forward. And I think that as a set of guidelines and a set of rules, my personal opinion is they've been written well. If there are things that don't fit exactly, that's why we have the Finance and Responsible Governance Committee taking a look. So that would be my comment back. And if there's an issue that we run into along the way where we go, you know what, let's pretend for a second all 10 members of council decided to jump on one project one year to say we want to do something great, like you're going to vote for it together. So I think that we as a team, as in the last motion, need to make sure that we're doing our job of ensuring that there is accountability, transparency on all of these items, and that there is a way to do what's best for the community. And if that means that there needs to be a request put into this committee in the future for a notwithstanding, then I'm sure that the committee members will govern accordingly.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Nettle. Through Chair Harvey, to Ms. Cook. Ms. Cook, do we need to codify essentially what Mayor Nettle is saying? And by codify, I mean, do we have to put and not any appeals, that's a negative word, any exceptions?
Notwithstanding.
Yeah, notwithstanding, can go to the committee, or is the way that your office is going to interpret it that can really just happen without an extra notwithstanding line?
Ms. Cook.
Through you, Councillor Harvey, to Councillor Morales. I believe the intention of when projects come to council, they're based on an individual basis. So for instance, from your example, if you and Councillor Harris came and said, you want to put a swing set in the park, for example, and you want to co-sponsor it, the committee would look at the projects on a case-by-case basis. And if you guys wanted to jointly do a project together, the committee could review it in a case-by-case basis. I don't think that a notwithstanding clause would be provided.
So I, in essence, just because there's no explicit notwithstanding line, I wouldn't be banned from going to, okay, perfect. I'm seeing, okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions from either committee or non-committee members? Councillor Congo.
Thank you, Chair Harvey, and maybe a quick comment, because the language in it talks about the project should be word specific, and I think this was good conversation. So maybe for councillors not here this evening, perhaps that could be communicated that should they identify an opportunity to collaborate, that they should assume that that's an exception to this policy and bring it forward as they would otherwise, or other projects within their ward specific boundary. Just so they don't miss an opportunity if there has been conversations about collaborating and if they read this as being restrictive or not.
Go ahead, Mayor Nuttall.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Chair, when you give your update, thank you, at general committee or council, I think it's council. Why don't you include that in your comments, because it is in front of the rest, and also I think it's important for the community. Like, you may get lobbied as members of council to invest in a certain park or a certain place, and it actually gives that information out to the community as well, where you could see 2 or 3 members of council come together, work on something together, and push it through.
Good point, and duly noted. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? In saying that, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Next is 8 items for discussion. Just one item here or actually, no, there's a few items here. Attendance at the Mosaic, a Festival of Cultures 2023 in Regina, Saskatchewan. Whereas Councillor N. Nagusi attended the Mosaic, a Festival of Cultures for 2023, held June 1st to 3rd, 2023 in Regina, Saskatchewan, on behalf of the City of Barrie. And whereas Councillor Nagusi will be covering all related expenses through his councillor expense account. And now therefore be it resolved that council supports opportunities such as this and looks forward to Councillor Nagusi sharing his experience and observations of this festival with council and city staff, which will be an item for discussion 8.1 on June the 6th. And that was sponsored by Deputy Mayor Thompson. I gather I'll ask Deputy Mayor Thompson to put his own motion on the floor then, please.
I'll put the motion on the floor as printed.
Great, thank you. Is there any comments or questions from members of committee? Mayor Nuttall.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in the name of transparency, we do have media presence here. So in the name of transparency, I wanted to, say publicly what I've said, I think individually, privately, which is that, we don't have all the answers and all the best programs in Barrie. We do the best at what we do and the ideas we've had, but there's always going to be opportunities for us to do better. It's one of the things that I quickly learned in Harrogate, where we were speaking with their bid, which is like their BIA. And I expressed that to each of you when I got back. And I'm glad that Councillor Nagusi, who identified this early on as something that he would like to take a look at when we're looking at our cultural mosaic that's growing in the city of Barrie and by bounds, and opportunities to bring everybody together, that he's gone and done the research. Hopefully, as it says, comes back with some meaningful both observations and ideas that we can incorporate in the city of Barrie here. But I would just take this opportunity to encourage every member of council. This is where Councillor Nagusi was passionate. You're each passionate about something. Learn from places that aren't Barrie, because we want to take the very best that we see out there and we want to bring it home and incorporate it into what we do best as well.
Great, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Any other comments or questions? Any non-members of committee? No? Yeah, no, I too, I actually had a conversation with Councillor Nagusi earlier today about this because I had Googled it to see what the festival was all about, and seemed quite interesting. a very diverse cultural event that they host annually in the city. And then we actually spoke about another one that I know of that's here in the province too. So like you had said, it's always good to explore what other cities are doing around the country and bring those ideas here. And it can only help us grow as a city, especially as our community is changing big time when it comes to diversity here in the city. So with that being said, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. We'll now move into closed session and do we need a motion to move into closed session? Okay. So there's two items to be discussed in closed session. Referred item 5.1 concerning the confidential correspondence concerning a potential land disposition matter, Dunlop Street area. And also the reports of officers of the corporation, item 7.1 concerning confidential solicitor client advice matter, city projects. And I'll just ask for a motion to move into closed session.
I'll motion to move into closed session.
Thank you,
Session.
Councillor Tungle. And on that, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that passes. And we'll now move into closed.